Hello everybody, welcome back to Wappelville, and welcome to November. There's going to be kind of a strong Egyptian theme for the month of November. Part of it is I have a lot of commission things to do that are all Egyptian theme, and of course that just got me going through all my other Patreon things, and there's some really amazing Egyptian themed stuff that kind of works with that whole shadow and flame type of idea. I think we did that last November too, so this is the sculpt right here, and this now of course this is solid. We're gonna be talking about this a bunch. I guess maybe if I would do this again, I'd see if I could try and hollow this out myself. It's limited as far as how much you could hollow this. You know, you think you can hollow it, and then you look at it, you go, well, yeah, there's not really a lot of places where I could actually do that. All right, let's just throw some pre-glazy type stuff on here. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. Maybe we do translucent color, maybe we don't. Not sure. Not sure exactly what we're going to do on this. I guess we'll get a little bit of our thinner into this too, mostly Van Dyke Brown asphaltum here. It was Boar. It was definitely Boar, and I thought of Olfang, but who was the... well, there's actually a couple of chieftains that sort of kept their loyalty. Because, oh gosh, I couldn't tell you the name of the battle where most of the chieftain, especially one, kind of went back, you know, revealed that he was for Morgoth, but there was still one, and he basically saved the day. It could have gone a lot worse if it hadn't been for, it must have been Bog. Yeah, Queez, just trying to hang in there, sort of. Ooh, wait, let's get a little bit of our a little bit of our mango color in here, huh? That is the Indian yellow right there. So with all this gold that we would be doing, with all the Egyptian stuff, don't be surprised if we see an awful lot of the mango stuff here. Yeah, actually, Dark Elf, there's now... Oh, here we go. Actually, this is a... So here's another one right here, and it's hollow, which is nice. They have a whole bunch of the vases, so those are nice. And well, here's that torch. Again, that's resized. And now here is one. That is their 75 mil, and he goes right here. So this Mummy Lord should be very interesting to do. We have, I guess this is called Ghost. There's also a bust version of that. And then here's one of these weird jackal warriors. So you're just getting a little bit of a sneak peek there. And of course, there's this guy right here. So we'll be doing those. A little brown matter. Brown matter. See what happens with that here. Hey, Chapman, how you doing? And Marco, you too? So yeah, actually, William, I'll send you a link to that. I mean, you know all that stuff already. It's just, it was, you know that we're kind of fans of the Easterlings here, so I just thought you would be entertained by the fact that I found some really nifty stuff on the Easterlings that kind of fleshed out their story a little bit more. Obviously, it talked about some of the previous battles, like the one, obviously, where Rohan kind of comes to help out, and they get rewarded with, well, Rohan, the Northmen, so to speak. Although it did explain why the Northmen kind of came to the aid of Gondor there, because, well, they had been kind of they'd been beat up on by the Easterlings once or twice or three times. So the Asgard Horsemen and Knights. So Dark Elf James, is that their new sort of medieval knights? Oh, a little bit of the indigo here. Yeah, a little bit of indigo. And again, we're going to do some, I guess we're going to be doing some object source lighting on this. So, yeah. And again, just letting the glue set as much as possible. I might even do a little bit of the Prussian blue on this here. That's we need a little bit of thinner for this. Okay, that's That's really cool. Yeah, Dark Elf James, I just got the message with the new files for this month. And I guess you had like a were shaman or something like that, or a kind of owlbear shaman. I think that was one of the files. And I think he's also in a bust form as well. So there was a couple of interesting ones. The terrain, well, obviously kind of a winter theme. Maybe we'll use some of that. I don't know how much of it. Yeah, I might not do too much with that. I'm going to actually go more towards the Egyptian violet on this side here, since we're thinking about the object source lighting. Hey, Holt Mini, nice to see you. Geez, I hope that you had yourself a good weekend. Yeah, here we go. Now, the one thing, Loim, it is interesting that, once again, they emphasized that the Easterlings and Canned, they didn't use war chariots, it was carts, as opposed to chariots. And I kind of wish that GW had gone with the carts instead of chariots. I mean, they sort of just look like Egyptian chariots, basically. Not just look like, they practically are. And it would have been more interesting, again, if they had been carts, which I'm pretty sure that's how Tolkien described them, right? As war carts or war wagons or whatever. All right, we'll call that, and we're going to let that sit there. In the meantime, gonna see if I can't get some primer back into some of these areas here, where we kind of wiped some things away. A little more over here. Just doesn't want to sit there straight. No, I guess that's a little bit more straight. I don't know. We may have to make some adjustments to that. Yeah, here, let's just get some glue down on this. And just have to let this sit here, unfortunately. I think now at least, yeah, that's sitting a little bit straighter now. Well, we do have makeup sponges over here. Let's get to these. So Dark Elf James, the Egyptian violet, that is like the stainiest of all stainers. Actually, the Indian yellow comes close. There is nothing that stains like Egyptian violet. There's stuff that can come close. I mean, diazonine violet or whatever, that sort of comes close, but it's not the same thing. You want Egyptian violet staining, you got to get Egyptian violet. Unfortunately, just like with black spinel, if you want black spinel, you got to get it. Mars black is a very distant relative, so to speak. So yeah, the war carts, and whenever you see illustrations of the Easter, or Candish and the Easterlings and stuff, they're all using heavy war carts. They are not using the light little chariots like these guys right here. Yeah, they're not using these little light wicker chariots. They're using heavy, heavy, heavy stuff. Hey, Gandalf the Greyster, nice to see you again. There's Gandalf the Grey. He's like, hello. Hello, little hobbits. He's like, uh-oh. Easterlings, what were those stupid blue wizards, man? You're supposed to take care of those guys. And Shman was like, seriously? Dude, bro, man. There was way more of them than the orcs. Let me tell you, there was lots of these guys. I guess Schmandorf was one of the blue wizards. So, Gandalf the Greyster, I haven't... the last thing I saw about the Amazon series was a couple of reviews or whatever, people that are just very, 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 very concerned about it and some of the recent developments. So yeah, Dark Elf James, again, you can use the diazonine purple or violet or whatever it's called, but I know that Stila, she did a direct comparison of the two, and, well, there was no comparison. I mean, we knew that. She knew it, but she just wanted to do it. She did it on stream, and sure enough, it definitely proved that there's a substantial difference between the two. Actually, I have not seen any. The last thing I saw from Great Grimoire Grim was actually this. I think it was the pics that you sent. That's the last stuff that I saw. Now, I do have that one print that I made. She sent me the one file, and that's pretty much all I have, I think, is that one file. Gee whiz, they replaced Galadriel again? Isn't that about the fourth person that's played Galadriel? And I know, well, there's been a lot of stuff going on with that. I went from extremely worried to the point where I was just like, man, I hope this just gets canceled, to, well, maybe it'll work out, to, oh my goodness, maybe we're back to where we were before again. So I'm just not quite sure how that's all going to work out. Just a little bit on the worried side again. Especially because with all of the, well, we're kind of invested in Lord of the Rings here, and we would hate for that to be such a, well, basically to have the Song of Ice, well, no, the Game of Thrones effect. That is my concern. Hey Bitron, hey Megan, how you doing? So I think we're caught. So Bitron, I'm glad that you're able to catch us here sort of at the beginning. We did make a change. We added this little torch right here to our thing here. So we'll have to see what we can do with some of our lighting. I want this to be more of a, actually I can maybe start to throw some of that on here. To be sort of a obsidian, which means, I don't know, I'm going to throw some more indigo out here. Let's do that. And of course that just fell on the floor. Some indigo right here. Yeah, so the throne and the miniature, those are from Clay Cyanide. This torch right here, that is part of the Loot Studios bits. Alright, so I mean, maybe some of this is going to be gold, but for right now, we're just going with the indigo look here. Let's see. Yeah, it would be, getting off the Gracer, it would be nice to see, well, tons of Easterlings. And look, boy, look who's here. Look who's here that we have not seen in a while. It is Avocado Kids. Avocado Kids, how the heck are you doing? It's nice to see you, and if everybody could please give Avocado Kids a follow, that would be great. So Avocado Kids, have you been rocking the gaming stuff still? No, I know we were... I saw your stream in your stream the other day, a couple days ago. Looked like you were doing some nice stuff with the games there. So hey Vanalog, how are you doing? And we're just going with that. We just got started here. We are just getting to work on a figure from Clay Cyanide. Now where's our, here's our warg. And so think of it something a little bit like this with our object source lighting. That's what's going to happen here. We've got a light source there that's going to be casting light and even shadows here on that wall. So that should be very fun. Was that No Man's Sky all day? Just another little 12-hour stream. So thank you very much, Avocado Kids, for the raid. As always, that's appreciated. I hope just in general that you're doing well. Let's see. So here, well, let's keep going with some of our darker colors here. We also have to remember there's our firelight there. So, and we've got our homemade fluorescent paints out here. Yes, these are homemade fluorescent paints. Taking fluorescent powders, mixing them with linseed oil. So Avocado Kids, I don't know if you've had a chance to see some of the recent paintings here. So we were doing a lot, spooky stuff, right, for October. So this was our last one, and then well, I think we started October here. Don't say I never paint hobbits for you. So we started with that one, and then we did a Minas Morgul right here because the first one was given away as a present, so we needed another Minas Morgul, and then here is the Witch King or a Black Rider, whichever, but again, these are a little bit flatter than the typical miniatures we work on. Oh, thanks, Gandalf the Greyster. We've done a bunch of them. I mean, we've done Hobbiton. Oh yeah, here's another one of the figures that we were working on last night, another one of the Nazgul. And of course, I think you've seen some of the busts that we were working on, right? Where's the newest one? No, that one's a little bit harder to reach. So we are using traditional oil paints here. Well, except for our homemade fluorescent paints, which are not as traditional as usual. And what we're doing is something that we call the pre-glaze process, where we're slapping on some of these darker colors, and then we have been wiping away with our makeup sponges. So Dark Elf James, it really is handy. One of the reasons why I did that. Here, let's get back to our Sauron painting here, because it kind of is a way to show the same sort of stuff we would do on a miniature, right? That's got a flaming sword or whatever, and the same sort of opposition of colors and saturation. Cooler colors versus warm, unsaturated colors versus saturated colors, and pretty much use the same concept right here on that miniature. And of course, you can always check out the older sessions. They're always saved as highlights. All right, here, let's get some not reddish stuff here. Just now we have to start warming this up for all intents and purposes. And start getting into a little bit of the asphaltum here. Just using a beat up old craft brush for this process, of course. Now, so Dark Elf James, those were just Crescent hot press illustration boards. What's nice is that they got a little bit of tooth to them, but not too much. So yeah, just a little bit of tooth. Got a little bit of grip. I think maybe there could be some kind of gold there. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Don't have to decide exactly right now. We are going to start to shift this more towards the red, though. Just throw a little bit of our Egyptian violet into that. Just throw a little bit of the, what is that? Our Fanchon red as well. So yeah, what's nice about the 2D art is it is a way to show certain concepts that might not be the easiest to show on a miniature. Because, well, now if it's a 75 mil figure, I guess that's a little bit different, right? But when it's just a little 32 or even smaller at Lord of the Rings scale, and that can be a little bit more difficult. So again, all we're trying to do here is just get that primer covered up here. So the warm versus cool thing, that has nothing to do with, basically it's just about opposites. So when you want to have contrast, not everything is about light versus dark. And that's why we do stuff like this here. So you have here warm saturated colors, you have cool desaturated colors. We will do our film noir. Boom. All of a sudden that object source lighting in some cases completely disappears. It is totally gone because it has nothing to do with the light versus dark. It has everything to do with warm versus cool. And that doesn't just mean that, it also means here. Cool fire, which is intense saturated color. Look at the warm colors, very desaturated. Look at this. we will do the color intensity thing again. All of a sudden, very different, right? You don't notice that difference between the desaturated warm colors and the very intense cool colors. Let's bring back that color again. There you go. Desaturated but warm, intense but cool. And we even have the green right here, right? So same thing again. You have the intense greens, and then you have some of the desaturated browns. I don't think I have the I don't have the wood elf figure around. Otherwise, I would show you that one too. So that's the warm versus cool. That's just a matter of contrast. Just like here, we've got a lot of intense warm colors. Oh, look at over here, a lot of cooler colors, but they're not all blue. Some of them are purple. Some of them are sort of a kind of a bluish brown. Greens. There's lots of greens in there too. It's just green is it's a cooler color than red. Purple is a cooler color than orange, because, well, one's got more blue in it than the other. So naturally, it's going to be kind of shifted towards the warmer side of that spectrum. So hopefully that explains that a little bit better, and that's the same concept here, right? Where you got some intense warm colors, but here this is not all just blue, right? You got some purple in there, almost a little bit of violet. Then you can really see some more bluish gray over there, and even here you got some blues and some grays. There's a little bit of greens in some areas. And let's see, we've got I know we have a bunch of them here. This is another case of the same thing, right? So you have these very warm, intense colors here. Oh, but look, now all of a sudden very much desaturated. This is basically a reddish brown, but see how that's desaturated, and also has some blue in it, right? Whereas this, not a whole lot of blue in that orange right there, so that makes that warmer than the red in his cloak, for sure. And with the Witch King, same deal here. It's actually like a brownish gray there, but it's super desaturated versus all the super intense oranges that we put here. It's a fun little contrast game that we just love to play here. We love playing the contrast game. Now let me see if I can grab me some sponges here and start taking away some of this. Now we did use a fair amount of staining colors here. One of them was Egyptian violet, so this is not all going to be wiped away, that's for sure. We're also going to have to think about some shadows that the figure's going to cast. Okay, just take away some of this. We're going to get into some of our oranges too on the base here. Let's just start removing some of this as best as we can. Okay, there's a lot of stuff coming off of there. But still a lot of stuff is also left behind. Hey, Bath, nice to see you again. I hope that you were able to get yourself a good night's sleep last night. Again, just taking away some of this here with the makeup sponge. Get some of that taken off of our little torch tower there. I really do love those Loot Studios bits. They are super, super, super handy. Chapman, because I've got about a dozen bottles of this and not many bottles of anything else. And to me, the primer color is absolutely irrelevant. Don't care. So yeah, the primer color doesn't matter to me. I'll use pretty much whatever. So yeah, if you're wondering about the primer, it's just like, well, that's what we got. That's what we're using. And that's about it. So you're going to be seeing that blue slate color a lot because like I say, I have a whole ton of jars of that. Everything else is mostly gone. So blue it is, or oceanic blue. I think that's what it's called. Now, of course, you could mix that with some of the, like the elf flesh, some of the lighter flesh colors. A lot of things you could mix that with. And of course, what we're looking, we want that more reddish glow, like what we did here on the Dwarven Forge. What was that, last Saturday, right? Nope, Gandalf the Grey desaturated has nothing to do with warm or cool. That has nothing to do with, like we just showed you here. Here, the warmer colors are desaturated, the cool colors are saturated, and on this one, right, the cool colors are the ones that are desaturated, the warms are saturated. So it's going to depend. If your light source, like this, and here's the same thing on our bat swarm, right? That's a warm, intense light. Oh, look at this. Cool, desaturated colors. The light source is going to be your saturated colors, whether it's warm or cool. And then whatever is not lit, that's going to be the desaturated stuff. Just like here, you know, this obsidian throne, that's one of the reasons why I was thinking about playing with the object source lighting, is because I knew I wanted to do some obsidian stone here, which, what is that? It's not just darker, it's also cooler, because it's mostly indigo, right? Which means, kind of by default, I'm getting all this extra contrast just because the color of the throne is more like a dark blue. Hey, Angry Am, how you doing? Glad that you're able to catch this here. What the heck? Let's throw some of our lighter color here. Let's throw some of that out here too. So very much like our Dwarven Forge. That kind of got me interested. It's not like I didn't like the fluorescent red that I made. It's just I kind of went out of sight, out of mind. I just sort of forgot about it. And that Dwarven Forge just sort of reminded me that I had it. And I went, oh, well, let's try it on this. And then I realized just how much I liked it. Now, again, I got to start thinking about potential shadows cast by the figure itself. So we can't do too much out here. So, yep, Angry Ham, that is our homemade fluorescent paints. You can see, look at how it's bouncing on the camera right there. So yeah, Chapman, I don't care about primer colors as long as they're not white or black. That's basically the only thing that's going to be an absolute no-no. Is we're not using white for sure, and we are definitely not using black. Even if you weren't doing oils, I mean, those are primer colors you just want to avoid, because everything compared to white is dark and everything compared to black is light. And that is, well, especially for folks that have a tendency to do that, paint only one part of the miniature at a time, and then they wonder why the Space Marine's face either looks like he's been irradiated several times, or that he looks like he's a vampire that needs a little more vitamin D or something like that. So yeah, that can happen to you. All right, so here again, we're not going to put any of our lighting on that side. Doesn't make any sense, does it? Doesn't make any sense. But again, we got to think about the wings on our miniature here. And while we have it, start to hit this with some of our reddish orange, not a radish. Rasco, I don't sell the paints. It's easy enough for literally all they have to do is just get some linseed oil and the fluorescent or the metallic powders, depending on which kind of paint you want to make. Although it would be interesting to combine the fluorescents and the metallic powders together just into one jar just to see what the heck happens. Hey, Happy Heretic. But yeah, it's way too difficult for me to make those and send those. Let's just put it this way, I would have to charge so much. It would be much better for you to just, and easier for you to make them yourself, because all it is just a matter of, let me see if I can get to this here. Just some disposable container. You throw your powder in there, you throw your thinner in there, and you just mix, or sorry, your linseed oil in there together, and you just so you get yourself something that looks like paint consistency. Everyone is going to be a little bit different, though. No two colors are quite the same. But, I mean, that's pretty much the same for all pigments, really. So happy Heretic, I hope that you're doing good. Let's just start to throw a little bit more of our orange out here. Not really I'm just gonna dispense with the original transparent cloth thing that I was thinking about doing. And we'll just go with this here. Let's go with some object source lighting, because I think that should be pretty fun. Oh, let's see. On your lunch break at work. Well, hopefully we can entertain you during your one time when you're having a chance to chill. I don't want to completely nuke everything here with just the object source lighting, but she's pretty darn close to the torch, right? A metallic purple mixed it with the Indian yellow. Boy, Chapman, that's it's interesting. You basically kind of was it? Oh, mango violet. You did metallic mango violet there. Which sounds like fun for sure. Metallic mango violet. There, see, you made yourself a new color. You get to name it there. So okay, just picking out a little bit of the fluorescent orange here. Doing what we can on our steps. I think those would, especially these higher ones, are going to get a little bit more of the lighting than the lower ones. Remember, we had the little flashlights that we have. We could, also make some use of those to try and figure out exactly where maybe we would want some of our lighting to be. Now there, oh, that's even better. Electric mango violet. That certainly sounds good. Geez, I guess we're going to we're gonna have to make one of those. You have to remind me about the electric mango violet. That's gonna be cool. Yeah, Rascal. And now you will want to use, well, unrefined, which is basically there's boiled and unboiled, and I've never even realized there was two different ones. The stuff that I'm using, the speedball stuff, is just not boiled or anything like that. So here, let's bring a little bit more of our lighting onto that side as well. It's an opaque metallic. Well, actually, Happy Heretic, the metallics aren't going to be terribly opaque. Now, of course, for whatever reason, these have been. So these are very much opaque. I don't know if I have any of them sitting out here. No, I don't have any of those elves sitting out to show you. But yeah, for whatever reason, those have been somewhat opaque. The Pearl X stuff is not going to be opaque for the most part. So yeah, you're going to want, at least as far as Dano, he had issues with, he tried using boiled, I guess, linseed oil. I have no idea what that's all about. But yeah, you're going to want the unboiled, so basically unrefined linseed oil that has not been boiled. So yeah, well, there you go. That could be an interesting name for the army. Yeah, maybe get a little of the cadmium going in here. Let's start to lighten up our flame. So that's all I know is I'd never heard of that, and Dano was using that. I don't know how he got his hands on that stuff, but apparently he did. And that just caused him, as they would say, a spot of bother. Now you have to realize too that all of these colors right here, they have maybe a little bit of a sheen to them right now, and just maybe 20 minutes there won't be any. Oh, there's Dano. So yeah, whatever it is, I don't know if there's, again, I never heard of boiled or unboiled or anything like that, but didn't yours say refined, Dano? I think that's what yours said, that it was refined linseed oil. Yeah, let's keep going with some more of our lighter colors here on the floor, such as it is. Let's go back to this again. And I think now we could start to throw some of our darker glazes on it. Well, just some pinline washes, really not glazes. So it was referred to as refine. Now, of course, we have to consider that, Dano is there in Australia, so there could be a difference. You just always have to consider, where are people located around the globe, and what is called one thing in one area might be called something else in another. Just like I'd never heard the expression, what is that called? PVA glue? Like, what the heck is PVA glue? It's Elmer's glue. And of course, most people in Europe are like, what the heck is Elmer's glue? They're the same thing, just like what is that? Insulation foam or pink foam is called something very different in some locations as opposed to others. You can see how that's just, we're letting that sink in all the little crevices. Hey, Thranuel, how you doing? So yes, you're going to want, again, the linseed oil. If you can get the Mona Lisa stuff, Speedball is a worldwide brand. I mean, this is not it's not some small little brand. That's a big old brand right there. Hey, Chris, how you doing? Nice to see you again. Yeah, Grim, I'd never ever heard, like, what the heck is PVA glue? I thought it was something special. I thought it was, some special thing or whatever. It's like, what the heck is that? And then I think maybe I got some or whatever. And I was like, wait a minute. This is Elmer's glue. This is nothing special. I can go to the drugstore and get 3 of them for $1. So yeah, that was interesting. Let's see. Well, Chapman, you can always use it. I mean, you got it. You might as well use it. Maybe don't mix a giant batch of it, but just use it, see what happens. If it works, well, no problem. If it doesn't work, well, then you can. But I would definitely suggest using the Mona Lisa stuff because, well, I know it works. I have no brand loyalty towards Mona Lisa. We certainly don't get anything from them here. But it's always worked, and stuff that works is good. Stuff that don't work, not so useful. Let's see. So yeah, I wish I had a little thing of Elmer's glue to show you, but yeah, just Elmer's glue. That's all that stuff is. But I certainly thought it was something special. Now, Chapman, I'm glad that that's been working for you. Now, I never actually, Dano, yeah, I hadn't heard anything about linseed, different types of, or that effective linseed oil until you're like, man, there's something weird going on here. All right, so that we're just going to let that set. It's very much like, again, what we've done here with a lot of our object source lighting stuff. So yeah, that was, I was like, that's not so cool right there. To sit there and make it sound like it's some dramatically different thing. I guess what was irritating here in the US is that, well, let's just say in certain stores, they would basically have you buying or spending a lot of money to get the GW PVA glue, which was just Elmer's glue. You could have gotten the same thing literally next door at the Office Max for a quarter of the price, but they said, oh no, you need PVA glue. They didn't tell us that it was just Elmer's glue, of course. Let's see, I'm going to throw a little smidge of the orange in there too. We don't want to go directly to the lightest light. And we're doing this also as a bit of a pin line because just like with the little skelly friend, remember? You can thin the oils, you cannot dilute them. They are not watercolors, they are not acrylics. If you take white and you thin it down, it's still going to be white. It's still going to cover. Yeah, Dano, I'm sorry that, what was it, like you say, half the containers of powders were the casualties in that particular experiment there. So again, we're just letting that, and now it's starting to pick up a little bit of that heat, a little bit of the brightness. So yeah, the linseed oil thing, that was very, very weird. I was like, wait, what? What are they talking about here? Never ever heard of that before. Oh yeah, we got this little, yeah, let's get that too. And still got to determine, do we want this to be more of a metal here? What do we want to do? Sure don't have to do that right now. So yeah, thanks for taking one for the team there, Dano. So this was all printed in the smoky black. And here's some of the things that you're going to be seeing. This is so these are some more of the Loot Studios basing / terrain bits right here. Where's that? I got another. Oh yeah, here's another one of those torches. Now I did change the size on this. I think I reduced that by almost half or so. And actually, this Mummy Lord guy here, here's his base. Oof. Yeah, for whatever reason, they didn't hollow this out. I have no idea why, but they did not, unless maybe I just, for some reason, didn't grab the hollowed file. Now we've got the Weird Jackal Warrior, we've got the Weird Jackal Priest. That shield should be very fun. So we got a bunch of these guys, and there's a bust version of Gold here. So that's, again, another one of the Loot Studios figures. So we're going to be going strong on the Egyptian theme here for November. Just is what it is. Hey, Monkey Love, how you doing? Well, Grim, you're going to have to certainly let us know how those Rembrandt metallics work out for you. I don't know if someone... Ooh, I swear somebody else tried those. I don't know if maybe it was Landrast, but I think somebody else tried those. You'll have to let me know. So you can see I'm just kind of stippling this on here for right now because I'm just going to let that set, and then we will come back and we will be smoothing this out later on. But I just need to start mapping out where's the lightest light going to be on this thing. With the fluorescent stuff, you cannot be a hasty little hobbit. You want to be patient. Don't be hasty little hobbits. Angry Ham, there is Egyptian violet on the palette because we have a lot of violet Egyptians apparently. So yes, indeed, there's going to be plenty of Egyptian violet. I think the last Egyptian themed figures that I did, remember these Titan Forge miniatures that I painted? There was this one, and it sort of looked like what is that? The Lich? What was that? The Lich Priest that was the Lich Priest, and then who was it with the old Tomb King army that if he died, wasn't your necromancer, was it? Yeah, if that guy died, your whole Tomb King army went kaplooey, and that was it. Yeah, Baff, the up-tiling oils are garbage, unfortunately. Boy, it's too bad that Grumdy's not in here right now, or any of the folks that have also used those with great disappointment. Yes, those things are hideous. They are glossy, they are nasty, they don't stick to anything. They just kind of slide around. They're really slimy, and oof, they're hideous. Clearly, the oil brushers came after the Optilings, and they fixed a lot of the issues with them. But yeah, the Optilings, you could give me a set of 100 of them, and I would just turn around and say, who don't I like, and then give those set of 100 to them. That's what I think of the Optilings. They are just hideous. And the other folks that I know that tried them, they absolutely hated them. Happy Heretic, I think that's because they're just doing stuff like weathering, so that maybe they don't notice it so much because, you know, this is the extent of the oils that they're using on their entire miniature. That's pretty much the extent of what they're using with the Optilings. So it doesn't surprise me because they're not using them to actually try and paint miniatures with. At least I hope so. Oh, well, sorry, Baff. Yes, you will never, ever, ever see me using Optilings. Oof. Those are brutal. And like I say, the folks that Drax, he uses them because he doesn't care that they're, well, shiny and slimy. He's going to just let them dry and paint acrylics over them anyways, because he's not doing, start to finish oils like we are here. But even he says, like, yeah, they get kind of shiny. But he's used to it, so it doesn't really matter to him. But when people try those, like Grumdia, he tried them, and he's like, man, these things are just sliding all over the place. Nothing's actually happening with these paints. And I said, oh yeah, that's like the trademark of Optiling. Ah, there we go, Massive Cravat. also victimized by the Optilings. And it was very disappointing because someone sent me, oh gosh, at least 20 of them. Maybe more. And I was looking forward to them because I basically thought they were the 2 version. Where the heck are the... I know I have one of them sitting over here. I basically thought they were oil brushers in a tube. And then you realize, no, these came afterwards because when MiG and AK, well, basically they were part. Homunculus, I'm glad that you've been liking that. Now, I don't know if you saw the latest army painting series with these guys. Really looking forward to this. Oh man, very much looking forward to that. And actually, I'm doing. Here we go. I think actually later tonight I'm going to be trying to film this guy right here. It's another one of my Ossiarchs. I thought this would be really fun for people to see. Do some more of the interference colors, and we got lots of bone on him too. Hey Roger, how you doing? So I think some sort of compensation fund is needed for all the victims of Optiling paints. The Optiling oils anyway. Because, oh man, that was hideous. I thought I was doing something wrong. I thought, if I just suddenly forgot decades of oil painting, well, what the heck is going on here? And then I talked to other people and they said, oh, no, that wasn't you. That's kind of how those paints are. Yeah, Homunculus, what's nice about these is they don't have to be expensive. And actually, Homunculus, I'll be doing some more of these type of things, right? Where we did the color chart like this. And then we did the little portrait like that. I mean, we did them with the acrylic stuff. And of course, with some of the stuff we're doing in November, we're going to definitely be needing the darker skin tones here. So that was very fun to do those little color charts and such. So yeah, I'm sorry for anybody that is, shall we say, shackled with those optilungs there. They're just, not going to do very much for you, sadly. So yeah, still have to figure out what exactly do we want for this. Do we want it to be more like a gold? Do we want it to be more like stone? I don't know. We'll figure it out. Let's maybe get a little bit of our light on there. And again, we have to save some room for potential shadows here cast by the figure. Let's get back to our lighter orange here on the miniature, like so. So Daniel, there was a little bit of Fanchon red in the pre-glaze, for sure. It's not really a staining color, as you would say, but especially if you maybe mix it with the Egyptian violet, you get a little bit of staining with it. And sometimes, well, actually, that fluorescent red, it's kind of taking the place of the Fanchon red, where I would normally use something like that. Yeah, massive cravat. I was even the anti-shine, and that is really good at taking away shiny. Even the anti-shine was struggling trying to take that stuff away. I think I tried at least 2 layers of it, and it was still kind of, you could still sort of see it. It's like, man, what the heck is going on with this stuff? Oh, yeah, okay, here. This. So people said, oh yeah, there's a solution. You get this stuff here, this matte effect thinner. So I got it. And then I saw the quadfecta of doom right here, and I said, this is stupid, because nobody's going to want to get this with all of this stuff in it. And this ain't cheap either. So this is basically something I basically also wasted money on, because as soon as I saw this, I said, nope, nobody's going to want to use that. So it's just been sitting there as a prop all this time. And that's the stuff, right? Massive cravat. That must be the same stuff you're talking about. What did the jar say? Matte effect thinner or something like that? And if it doesn't even work, that's even worse, right? You paid all the money for that too, and it still doesn't even work. So yeah, I never even got to that point of testing it. I just said, nope, the heck with this. So again, we're just trying to get a little bit of our source lighting now onto the miniature here, as we let some parts of the base set a little bit. Oh boy, Happy Heretic, I can only imagine what kind of eye-watering wonders there are from that stuff. Wow, can you imagine what that? Well, actually, Master of Cravat knows. So Master of Cravat could probably tell us just how lovely the stench of that stuff is. Actually, Master of Cravat, I just looked at bottle. It was initially clear. It's frosted just like yours. It is frosted exactly like yours is. So Rascal, let's check out some of these recent chapters of the Book of Wappel, because these are all going to be very important. Dry paint, wet paint. What does that mean? It's kind of tags on to the thick versus thin. So think of your pre-glaze as that's sort of a dry-ish application, right? Because you're wiping away some of the paint. Then maybe you can put thicker colors on, I don't want to say straight from the tubes, but some thicker stuff, wetter paint over the top of it. Let's say you do one of your pin line washes or whatever, you could paint much thicker paint over the top of that, because the thicker paint's going to be drier. And what did we do here before we started to add the more intense lighting? We actually did, remember on the figure, we did those darker glazes on it, the pin line washes. And what were we discussing with all of our film noirs with all the different object source lighting? There's way more contrast than just light versus dark. And color intensity and temperature contrast. Very, very important here as we get back to our scene here. I mean, look. All right. Film noir. Boom. All of a sudden, there's not a whole lot of contrast there, is there? It's like, wait a minute, what happened to that? That looked so light. It looked so light. Well, that's because it was all the color intensity shift. That's what shifted this away from all of the blue, right? That's why it looks so much more intense. Now that Landress, it's funny because oh, actually, Landress, have you used the Rembrandt metallics at all? I wasn't sure if that was one of the metallics that you had tried. I know that you had just gotten some the Gamlin ones, but I wasn't sure if you had also been one of the folks that tried using the Rembrandt paints at all. So I just see, that's how we summon you. That's how we summon you. Yeah, Massive Cruet, when I held up that bottle, I was looking at the bottom of it. I'm like, what the heck is that weird frost on there? I thought I was going to shake it, thinking something had settled there. Man, that stuff is absolutely brutal. So yeah, I have no interest in using the Optilung stuff whatsoever. All right, well that's Antland, I just wasn't sure. I think maybe I'm just thinking, you had said you got those that couple of Gamlin metallic oils there. I was like, I wonder if back in the day you had tried any of the Rembrandt stuff. Okay, I'm going to get a little bit of the cadmium yellow into that. Let's start putting that over here. See how much lighter that gets. None of this stuff is light. It looks very light because we were very efficient at creating the dark. And look at our steps there is an awful lot like that. We have that same contrast of the cooler, way less saturated colors versus the not necessarily lighter. You don't hear me talking about lighter. You hear me talking about warmer, more intense, not lighter. Yeah, now, I guess Landress, oh, that's the other thing I meant to ask you. You got the gold too, right? Is that also contents under pressure, just like the silver was? Where it just kind of starts shooting out of the tube? I meant to ask you about that. So I think this side of the step here, I think that also needs to be a little bit lighter. But we have to try and keep in mind that we've got a figure that's going to go on there. Actually, I might even try to glue that on here at some point. I don't know. We'll have to see, because I got to figure out the shadow of it and everything. Because I've never had a chance to actually cast a shadow on something. That's why, if you see this here, that's because, well, I'm thinking that the wing would cast a shadow on that wall behind it. We're gonna still come in there. We have our much lighter orange to go on that yet. Actually, I could probably stand a little bit more of our orange over here. Let's go more towards the red all the way out here. Ah, there we go. Now, I guess the question is, Grim, does it have alkyds in it? Because the Gamlin metallic oils have alkyds in them, which causes them to dry fast, and don't even bother making the little jars out of them because it's just going to dry up in the jars. like in a day. So yeah, don't even bother making the jars if you've got the oh, that is my 10-0, okay. I don't think I've gotten any more of the 10-0s. I think I've only replaced the 18-0s when it comes to the liner brushes. So okay, now we've kind of got that carried a little bit further back here. I'm gonna start putting a little bit maybe more of the lighter orange down here and also onto the floor, especially over here.
So say we all. So say we all.
Hey Beef, how you doing? What, nice to see ya. Nice to see you there. Well, it's been a little while. How have you been doing? So, yeah, Beef, what's the latest stuff that you've been painting? Hopefully you've actually had a chance to keep up on painting projects and the schedule hasn't been too crazy or anything like that, sort of keeping you away from the painting. Definitely, there's a couple of Dark Sword Egyptian theme figures that, oh, I really got to use. I think I might print these again, but also a little bit smaller maybe. This particular bit right here and some of the other Egyptian stuff, and just make a little Dark Sword diorama out of that. I think that could be very fun. So yeah, Grim, unfortunately. So here, oh, okay, yeah, on the Gamlin stuff, yeah, you can see there's the alkyd right there, the alkyd resin. Yeah, this causes an issue, but it would be nice if there's no alkyds in it. That would be great. Let me see. So I think so. Baff. Actually, unless, well, maybe you're asking a question to somebody else in the chat there, but you would have to refresh my mind there if you were asking me a question about finding something. Yeah, well, Beef, sorry that that the schedule's been a little bit hectic. It really seems like everybody has just been kind of getting hit by the same thing, or the schedule is just really, 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 really crazy. All right, I'm thinking I'm gonna. That's just the. That is the red there. That's the fluorescent red. And we're just gonna dust that in here. Maybe get a little bit of it up here. Not too much. Yeah, actually, what are we saying? And not the only other brand that you found that actually had the asphaltum in it. So again, this is going to be mostly just kind of various indigo with whatever radiant colors, because we want that to be sort of a obsidian. We're just going to a little bit of our, again, a little bit of our fluorescent red work its way in there. So that's kind of interesting. I guess, well, let's, I don't think Williamsburg, oh, you know what? Williamsburg probably has an asphaltum. They just give it their own name, which is, that's the one thing about Williamsburg that is a little bit on the irritating side, is that they'll take a color that is sort of a common thing, but then give it a different name. And you really do think it's some unique color, but it's really not quite so unique. That's the one sort of semi-annoying thing that Williamsburg will do. All right, now I think we're starting to see our light emerge here. And heck with the acrylics, especially since all of the acrylic fluorescents are going to be extremely translucent, it's even more important to kind of start with it. So if anything, you want to be starting out with the object source lighting even more if you're working with acrylics. Let me see if I can, possibly on the other side here, get something on the gemstones here that, again, is not necessarily just our object source lighting. Maybe a little something on the wings too that's not just the reddish object source lighting. Something like that. Just kind of carrying some of this over to here. Maybe I'm going to try and get some of this light color into here too. Where's my blending brush? So that the big old blob right there. And we're not doing this with it. We're basically doing like a stippling type brush stroke. We're kind of taking the edges of it. We spread it out. Same thing with this blob right here. We're going to take that blob and then we just stretch it right down that fold. Now, of course, here, these folds, they're not done like the Dark Sword stuff. This is more like what happens with digital sculpts here, where the folds are just kind of stylized, where they just sort of took the cloth and smeared it around this way or that way. It is sometimes the benefit of the physical sculpting. The cloth tends to look a little bit more like actual cloth. And just watch the Twitch session where we were sculpting all of the Rohan cloaks and how we got all of that extra depth of fold. See what I did there? Not depth of field, but depth of fold. Yeah, that's a sculpting thing. Also going to take that, smooth that a little bit. Same here. See if I can use, I don't know, I'm going to go with this radiant blue here and see if we can get some highlights on the hair, but mostly in just one area here. So it almost puts a sheen on the hair as opposed to all the entire hair from top to the bottom being highlighted. So something like that here. Might double down on it, especially, so I'm just almost like a little bit of a ring of light. These guys also need to be a little bit lighter. Where's my, I'm going to try, we haven't tried this yet, some of the Indian yellow. We'll mix that with the Egyptian violet, create sort of a tan out of it here. And use that for some of our golds. Do I want to lighten that stuff up? I guess so. So this is the brilliant yellow pair with some of our fluorescent yellow. I don't want to do it absolutely everywhere, but it's a few little areas that kind of gives it that almost like it's a metallic gold. Just some trim there. Hey, Rise of Mages, how you doing? Hopefully your Monday was okay and not too much Monday. It seems like unlike the last couple of Mondays, this Monday was a little bit more under control. Not quite so crazy. Last Monday there was a whole bunch of folks that just said I could have clearly done without this particular Monday. There's been some not super enthusiasm, but not quite the disaster that last Monday was. It just seemed to be universally for everybody pretty lousy. Again, just trying to catch a couple of the lights here. So this is from, again, from Clay Cyanide. So we have to get back to our throne, start maybe adding some more lights to that. So Rise of Mages gets a wee bit of a holiday. Well, that's always good. I'm going to see if I can't pop in some extra little lights on these little bits of metal here. Part of the decor on this. And thank you so much, Armored Wolf, for posting the link to the Patreon page. Again, when we are done with the session here, we are going to be filming the next episode for the Patreon page. The first November video. We've got 2 army painting series going on at the same time. And that's pretty much the level that I suggest. Because, well, if you do that, you are getting every single video that I ever filmed since 2013. You want content, you'll have content. Spread out that lighter. See right there, and now it does start to manage the object source lighting just a little bit. We'll lighten that up a smidge too here again, so it's not all just the object source lighting. I'm maybe gonna lighten up the skin tone here. See what happens with this. Oh yeah, okay, so I think that's something that we needed to do there. Is just to lighten up that skin tone a bit. I mean, as much as we want to have the object source lighting there, I think this is good too. So Rise of Mages, glad that things are going reasonably well for you. We'll have to give her some pupils here in a second. See if we can manage this. We'll just take some of our, I don't know, indigo, some of the black spin. I'll see what happens here. We're just maybe looking almost straight ahead, I suppose. Now, just looking off a little bit to the, almost to the right. Okay, well, that just happened. See if we can do that again. So yeah, she's actually looking this way a little bit. Sometimes it works out that way. Usually don't like to have the figure looking dead straight ahead. It's almost more interesting story-wise. Them looking off to the side. Why are they looking off to the side instead of just straight ahead? See if I can maybe get a couple of a lot of stuff going on in some of the golds here. We have, yeah, the object source lighting, but I don't know. Let's see if we can do something, a more elevated light here for some of the golds. So it ends on the, on the 3rd. I was going to say, boy, the 6th, that really, that's quite the extended holiday there. Yeah, there we go. Looks like Kathy has now finished her hangout with the Pyro Club folks. I see lights being turned off, and there's the Kathy, and she's going to sleep now. Good night to Kathy. And then Rise of Mages goes back to work on the 8th. So yeah, we're just trying to catch a couple of bright highlights here on what I would say should be the gold stuff. Is that a gem right there? I think that is supposed to be a gem right there. And we'll try and find some more lights on the headdress, not really a crown. Yeah, there we go. Now I think the face is going to stand out a little bit more. We have a bit of a tradition with Halloween and doing nothing but art for a week as a family. That sounds really, that sounds great, Rise of Mages. Definitely sounds like fun. If everybody's painting miniatures, you'll all have armies in no time that way. Hey, Paintwater, nice to see you again. Thanks for joining us here. We got ourselves another 3D printed file. This one is from Clay Cyanide right here. Now the throne and the figure, that's from Clay Cyanide. This piece right here, that's actually from Loot Studios. It's one of their, I just call it basing bits. They call them, I think they just call them objects. Yeah, I think that's what they call them. But they have been super handy for miniatures, for terrain. I've used them for some vignettes already. We'll certainly be using some of them for dioramas moving forward. All right, here we got to get some of this jewelry right here. Let's hit that with some of our brighter stuff. Let's get this with some highlights on it too. So Paintwater, I hope that your Monday was all right. Not too hectic, not too busy. Mondays can certainly be that way. And just having some fun, a little bit of object source lighting on this. I wasn't originally going to do this, and then I thought, well, boy, talk about one that really works well for it. And I shrank that down about 50%, and it was just about the right size, too. Blasterbeat, thank you so much for joining us. I think Isis was the name of this one. Yeah. They just kind of did, well, all of your typical Egyptian gods, goddesses. I think they did an Osiris. I think they did a Ra. And this particular one, I do believe, is Isis. I have printed out a couple of the other ones. Again, there's several commissions from the Clay Cyanide, or from the range. It's not necessarily from them. I'm going to get a little bit of light on the feet there. We might change that a bit later on. So again, a little bit more of the Terra Rosa here. Oh, thanks, Paintwater. You know, the weird thing about the Clay Cyanide stuff is the way the supports are done. Every single support is a separate thing. They don't put them on the unified platforms like basically everybody else does. So you have all of these tiny little individual ones, which that was a little bit of a pain right there. But I just, now that I know they're like that, I just didn't really know they were kind of all separate like that. But thanks so much. I don't remember which of the other ones I've got to do, There were 6 of them, all from this set. So it's not the entire set, but a decent portion of it. And of course, we'll try and print up some of the other ones and just have some fun with those, even though they're not part of the commission. But yeah, all of the individual supports, when they get down to where they're going to attach to the plate, they're all just individual supports. I can't see why it would be less prone to failure. That I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe they know something that I don't know. But it's the only one that I've ever seen done like that. I've never seen anything else even close to that. Nothing like it ever. So maybe they know something that I just don't know. Actually, I'm going to use just a little bit of the white there so that it almost becomes a little bit more pink and just less orange. It's just when you're taking those things off, it gets really difficult sometimes, because each and every one of those, you're putting a ton of extra pressure on the figure that's still stuck to the plate, because you're only getting one of those off at a time when you're using your little tool. All right, maybe a smidge of reflected light over there. Yeah, I don't want that there. Just gonna take this and we'll... Oh, that's not my blending brush. There it is. It's like, why is that not doing stuff? There we go. That's a little bit more like it. A raft. Thanks, Dano. Boy, that was the word I was trying to spit out. Yeah. Actually, I think that's what I was trying to spit out on the latest army painting video, and I just couldn't think of the term. I just thought every single thing used rafts, but I guess not. Hey, Love and Music, how you doing? Nice to see you. So, Love and Music, if everybody could please give Love and Music a follow. Love and Music, I think you posted something to Instagram. Maybe over the weekend, maybe that was a special Halloween thing. Now, I wasn't sure if you've done any sort of streams with... Well, I don't think... has Captain Madlove even been streaming lately? I know that she's got some things going on, so hopefully you guys can get back to doing your multi-streams there. Thanks, Abadoo. Thank you so much. That is appreciated. Because we can always use a little bit of this, right? Thank you. Yeah, Love and Music. That is quite the early start to today, so very understandable. Well, and TikTok will show up on Instagram, won't it? Okay, so that, I thought so. But hopefully you're at least able to have a little bit of fun. I know you would love to be able to get back to the painting and such. It is funny, we've painted a whole ton of... I think you saw all the Printomancer stuff that we did. But then we actually had a chance to do another one here. Where's our Lilith one? This is from Archvillain. So that was pretty fun to be able to do that. Of course, I'm just imagining you printing that one up at about 3 times that size or whatever. So that it would be almost, gosh, 1/8 scale, something like that. So Captain was on the other day. Yeah, Beef, I wasn't sure because Kathy said that there was just stuff that was going on. It was, she wasn't streaming, maybe not as much. I guess she still is streaming, but maybe not as much as usual. Thanks, Love and Music. Okay, we got that hand. Let's get a little bit more of her skin tone on this one over here now. But so much of the stuff that I'm painting here is 3D printed, which is great because it really cuts down on the time of assembly and prep and everything else. Where's the, yeah, here's some of the stuff that we'll be working on over the course of this month. Lots of Egyptian themed stuff, and well, this was with a different resin right there, but a lot of it from Loot Studios. But I've also started to make some build plates of, oh yeah, where's this Monster Mini Mayhem? I think that's who did this. Where's my, nope, that's not him. He's around, oh, he's around here somewhere. But a really nifty, like metal horse. Really nifty thing. I'm gonna go back to maybe some of my, oh, what the heck? Let's get a little bit of our weight over here. On the dress in a couple of areas here and there. Then we also got to hit these things. I think we might darken those up first, then hit them with some light. Alright, well, loving music. You have a good one. And again, hopefully we're able to see you again, and your hours, the crazy hours, don't last forever, and you'll be able to get back to doing some painting and some streaming like regular. Yeah, those not having rafts on them, and the thing is that those supports, they're like tree trunks. I mean, they are some sick, heavy supports that are just sitting on their own little individual rafts instead of kind of those unified rafts. So that was something I was not a fan of, I gotta say. That like was just said there, it makes them really hard to get off of that plate. My goodness. And it's still, yeah, there was still some weird things that happened on the prints too, so I don't think they really had any benefit. I think it was more, again, I don't know why they did them that way. But it's just definitely not something that I would ever want. And if I was ever to do my own support, I would certainly not do them that way. So I'm trying to get just that little hint of the light on the top of each of these individual little stones right here. Doesn't have to be too much, just some. Yeah, because it is sort of in shadow anyways. Yeah, think about that. Because remember, it's up against that throne right there. So we have to think of, in some ways, this thing might almost pick up a little bit of the reflected red glow from the throne. I won't really know until we get this thing attached to the throne, which, well, not gonna be tonight because so I would have to take it off of here, but she's standing right about at that level, so I think she's picking up about that much light. So yeah, let's put it this way, they're into the super heavies. Yeah, they're, you know, if your average support is about the size of a M4 Sherman, theirs are past the Tiger 2. They're full on, I want to say they are full on Yag Tiger. So a bazillion tons. They are super, super, super heavy. Now what I'm going to do here is a little bit of the black spin out, a little bit of the indigo. We're going to start to see if we can make, and just ensure that this starts to look a little bit more like obsidian here. So we need to start getting some of our darks back into this. Our blending brush at the ready at all times. All right, Grim. Well, you have fun chasing the squirrels and walking the dog. So Sarge is gonna go walk the Grim right now. And we'll darken that up a smidge with our, that's that mix of indigo black spinel. Oh, that mix with some of the mid-tones that we threw in there. Let's do some of that down here too. On this side, I don't want it to necessarily look like metal, but it did need to be a little darker, I think. So you can see how that's mixing with some of that lighter, some of the, I think it was mostly the radiant blue, maybe a touch of the radiant turquoise in there as well, but mostly the radiant blue. And now we'll throw some sharper edge lights on there as well to make the surface look that much harder. I thought we were, look at how much that little bit adds right there. And now that we've darkened this, when we add that extra little bit of light, bam, what an effect that's going to have. So she stands right there. That's where she goes. I mean, it's not really a throne so much as a stage. It's not quite a throne, actually. Not quite sure what you'd call it. More like a dais or a dais or whatever. This right here, again, we added that. That is not part of the sculpt at all. That's our Grain Stuff World texture roller. Same thing that we used here on this Titan Forge sculpt. That same exact texture roller right there. And where's the rest? Here's some of the rest of that. Again, it's the extra firm gray Sculpey. And then the texture roller. I might bring out just a couple of the glyphs here, but not too much. Now we got to figure out what is happening with this guy here. First, I'm going to just let some of that get faded together. And do we want this to be metal or do we want it to be stone? I got to figure this out one way or the other here. Metal or stone. I don't know. It seems like it's well, actually, I mean, it could just be obsidian as well. But we want to get some light cast in a few different areas here. So we're just gonna plop in some of those lighter colors. Take our blending brush. Completely changes that. We don't need to do a whole bunch of layers. It's not necessary. Look at this. Just take that. Blend it here. We can do the same thing. There's my blending brush. And then we gotta just figure out what's happening with this guy here. Do we just do it maybe with some of our yellow there? We're just gonna sharpen up some of these edges. It's awful darn close to our light source anyway. That's the brilliant yellow pale. It's got some of the fluorescent yellow in it too. That would just, I was thinking about it. If I hadn't done the object source lighting, I would have done that, but it really wouldn't translate too much. It would be kind of confusing, and it'd almost be looking like it's lit too. So yeah, that's something I was actually seriously thinking about doing until then this was added, and that changed everything else. Because if these were light, you would really start losing the effect, because we want to actually do a little bit of highlighting here on those and these areas too. So sometimes when you want to do one effect, you kind of you can't do the other effect, because trying to do both of them on the same thing, well, you kind of get you don't get any of either. And I definitely run into that a couple of times where I said, boy, I really wanted to do this, and then I realized, oh well, really can't do that because I've kind of killed both effects. So here I will just throw some of the lighter orange out there. Now let's get to some of the red over here. Let that mix in there too. And then we're going to throw a couple of reds onto our bowl here, because we need a few different lights, so we're going to have to let that sit on there for a few minutes though before we start messing around with it. And oh, it's more of the orange here. Work that into some of the recesses there. We should probably start to think about, I don't know, maybe even, is that just going to be more of a gold there as opposed to something that has object source lighting on it? Which means it probably should have some green in there too. I don't know, might have to throw some white into that. Nah, I don't know if I really want it to be that much lighter anyway. So we got, one of the scarabs here. Hit these wings real quick. Grab our blending brush here. Now we'll take some of these orange bits and we will soften the edges of those so that they look like they're just a part of the, and not just blobs that we threw on there. Lighten that up just a smidge. Now I'm thinking about, might even darken the tops of the flames there just a little bit. We got some of the fanchon red in there. Maybe a little bit more of the fanchon red / Egyptian violet. Not too much. And thank you so much, Karen Daisy. I appreciate that follow.
Hello, little hobbits. Spark my ganja.
Thank you so much. We welcome all our new hobbits back to our red over there again. Maybe we'll throw a little more down here too. So we got some of the orange, some of the red. We'll combine these together. Don't want to let this kind of get lost here. Let's hit the edge of that. Let's throw some of that even into here. Get our blending brush again. So yeah, we've got this blob right here, right? And all of a sudden, not anymore. back to our brighter orange. Maybe this is, who knows, maybe there's other torches that are reflected in this. Just several points of light. Maybe we'll also get a little more of our orange on the underside of this, because there's these 4 dots here. I don't know, let's maybe hit the wings on that scarab a little more. And let's try to fade some of these. Now it is going to be a little bit different when you're working with the fluorescent pigment powders, basically, that we made, taking the powders and mixing it with the linseed oil. It's not always going to act just like the regular paints. Gonna go back here and maybe add some more light colors to the torch here. And now maybe even some more dramatic lights added to the stonework. Just especially where the light's really going to hit it. Over here. And maybe a little bit more on the floor. Either that or we do some more darker wash slash glazes down there. But first I'm going to try and hit this with a little bit of the orange. Kind of on the side of each of the glyphs here. All right, well, Daniel, you have a good one. And, well, hopefully we're able to just do our normal Thursday stream. That would be a very good sign that things kind of went a little bit better this week. If not, who knows, we might be streaming at a different time or whatever. But as always, Daniel, thanks so much. And yeah, if you want to drop in the link for your Instagram on your Gabo there before you head out, that would be great too, so people can see what you were doing with the basing stuff and the fluorescent oils too. Especially since you worked so hard to get those fluorescent oils working, right? Oh, here, let's get again the edge of this. Oh, those almost look like bunny ears. Oh, what was the Ankh? That was the Cool Mini or Not game that has the Egyptian theme. There was the Blood Rage, then they did the Rising Sun, I think it was. And now I guess the latest one is Ankh. I'm gonna try and do a few small little highlights on these things back again. Look where my hand is on that brush. It is indeed closer to the back of it than it is to the front of it. Now there we go. Dano has posted the link to his very fun goblin there, Moria goblin with the fun object source lighting on it. Again, trying to, now here we've got to have these almost go the opposite way here because the light's coming from underneath. Let's make sure we capture that. And I think the other thing I wanted to do, much like this, you see we had all the little cracks in there and such, I thought even though there's not really that kind of stuff on there, I thought it would be extra fun to do that. It certainly adds a little extra something. We'll just do a few of those. And now we're going to try it. We're even further back on that brush. We're running out of real estate on that brush. So yeah, this is why we didn't do the gold insets there, because if I was trying to do this, wouldn't really work out too well. But I can only do a little bit of it here and there. Too much of it, that's going to stand out way too much. And I'm just kind of picking the ones that are further up the chain here. Let's get these guys too, and then I'm going to do some darker lines in there, just like we did on the Dwarven Forge. Maybe reinforce these vertical lines just a smidge. Now let's do those, some of the cracks here. We'll take just our black spinel, mix with a little bit of the indigo. Hey, Amastig, how you doing? Nice to see you back. Actually, so Megan, I don't know if you wanted to throw your latest Instagram post into the chat there with some of the commission figs that you're working on. Hopefully all of that has been going really well and you're plowing through those, getting them all done. Then moving on to the next several batches. I'm going to do the same over here, thinking about the, again, a little bit of a practice. So that kind of breaks up the space here a little bit. So Almastig, we've got kind of a combination of things here. We've got the figure and the throne / DS. Those are from Clay Cyanide. This little bit right here, the torch, that is actually from Loot Studios. I kind of added that on literally at the last minute. I was not originally going to put that on there. I mean, if you see the beginning of this here, you'll see me going, you know what, I'm going to change the whole thing here. And then I had to add more paint out onto the palette, the fluorescent stuff. I had to add this thing on there. It was chaos. Thanks so much, Stig. Well, we were doing this last night on stream. Now this is a 3D printed Warg Marauder from Diwali. So it was really fun to get to do these guys. So now we're back into something that's a little bit darker here. Gonna reinforce some of our lines. I think that one's good. That one we already did. And then here it might throw a couple of cracks on the outer edges of this too. Maybe I just got too thick. We'll just wipe some of it away. Redoing the desk and the quest for more space. Can always use more space for sure. I hope that went well. Hopefully it wasn't too much of a hassle. That's never easy, actually, trying to redo the desk. Especially whenever I do that, because I end up basically reorganizing stuff out of existence, never to be seen again. I'm just going to reinforce that line down there too, and then maybe some darks. And this also has a little bit of that cooler color on it too. We have a lot of light here. It's time for some really strong darks as well. Oh, I hope it was worth it. I really do. Because that's not easy. And sometimes you can try and predict, like, okay, this should go over here, this should work well, and you do all that, and then you find out, it's not going to work quite as well as what I thought it was going to. I've certainly had that happen. All right, so more of our dark over here, right along, again, the edge of that. Maybe darken this down too again. If we want it to be the obsidian, probably should emphasize darker. And trying to put a few little suggestions of some cracks in there. And we just took a little bit of the radiant, a little bit of the radiant blue there. And we're just gonna try to get cracks that aren't actually there. But as I look at that Dwarven Forge, and this is not a super light color either, there was something about adding those. Give a little extra dimension to it. So there we go, keeping it simple, nothing too crazy. I mean, if it gives you more work area and just makes it, well, more pleasant to spend more hours working at it, well, then that's all very much a positive. I need to hit the edge of this, and you notice it's not equal everywhere. You can see there's some parts of it we don't even hit with the lighter color. We hit in some areas, not every single one. And this is by no means white. It's like maybe a value 2. No, more like a value 3, I want to say. And just try to create the impression of some cracks there. And I think that makes it now look a little bit more like stone. See if we can maybe pop some semi-highlights on here. We'll look at the other side too. Now these had a little bit more of the support dots on them, I want to say. The Artemico would having the paint set up in the basement also, I don't know, get you closer to the printer there where you could monitor the printer that much more closely. I used to do all of the painting down in the basement. That actually where all used to happen. Even the filming used to happen down there. But it's really not the best place for recording stuff, that's for sure. I mean, maybe there's some things I could do to improve it. The low ceiling doesn't help. And by low ceiling, I mean, if I were to lift my hands over my head, there's a good chance, especially in some part where there's a beam, as I'm just going to smash my hand into that beam. So that means that there is no such thing as overhead light. It's like face level light. All right. That's a little better. Don't go too crazy with putting highlights on these guys. Just not gonna go to that white at all. This is as light as we're gonna go. That is it. If anything, I would be more inclined to pin line wash, see if I can't pin line wash some darker darks into those areas instead of trying to highlight things that much more. And just not even every area equally. You can see we left this a little bit darker here, a little bit darker here, and then it just got lighter here. Let's see if we can get these guys now. 4 pieces left, and they'll be the hardest. Subject, camera, panel lights, and magnifier. Yeah, I must stick the magnifier light, of course, that's always crucial. I really do enjoy this one. I gotta actually get myself another one of these, because the regular magnifier lights that I've gotten for years and years, they worked well as a magnifier light, but they just were not effective for filming or having on camera. This one I can, it's got like 10 different light level settings on it, which makes it really handy. The other ones, I've tried other ones that had 3, and you would get it would either burn everything out or you would get the gray bars of doom. And this was the first one that didn't do that. It's more of the fact that I keep having to arrange everything a few times per day as Project Chain. Yep, Arda Michael. That is why the desk area here, if you even want to call it that, is always a constant disaster area, because there is nothing but new projects all the time. Every day there is some new project that has changed everything. And there's many projects going on all at the same time. So yeah, that's just oof. That's why it's going to be just a perpetual disaster area. And then of course, yeah, we were talking about although I think if I can do the streaming on the phone, which Jinxed has had all kinds of success with, I think we can ixnay the whole trying to drill holes in the ceiling and get internet lines down there. That would be really nice if that worked. Geez, yeah, Arda might go, well, I guess this can be my 2D setup, because, that's why we keep those 2D paintings the size they are. Now, that's why the terrain backdrop painting is a little bit of a issue, because, that's not going to fit under here. And then, of course, speaking of terrain, the larger terrain pieces, those just didn't fit under here. It just did not work terribly well. That's why we don't really do the Terrain Thursdays anymore. And yeah, if you're doing the digital versus traditional, that's, like I said, that's going to have another impact on it. All right, I'm going to see what happens here. It's a lighter orange just in a few areas on this. Let's try and go even lighter if we can. And then we'll just have to leave this on here. And then come back. Now, that's just no good there. I'm going to see if I can get a little bit more of my lighter orange to this side. Maybe some more right there. Now, that's got too much orange to it. Let's go back to some red here. A bit more of our red. Less of the orange. I think, yeah, that works a little bit more. And now we'll head on back here, because we've let some of that had a chance to set for a bit. All right, on the wings here, I think I need to lighten this up just a hair, because that's where the torchlight, I think, is going to get to it. I don't know, is that a torch or is it more of a brazier? I guess it could be more of a brazier. That's when I did my Tomb King's army board. I think I referred to those more as braziers than torches. I'm gonna hit that just the top of that with the light. Okay, yeah, I think that also helps to promote the fact that that is curved slightly. So now we got the orange mixed with some of the cadmium yellow here. Edge of the wings. Looking for the feathers here. To catch a few small highlights on the edges of the feathers. That's not quite opaque enough. I just grabbed a little bit of the brilliant yellow pale there. So again, I just want to try and, if I can, without maybe drawing too much attention to the wings. Don't want to draw attention away from the face, from the body, of course. Also, that I was thinking this was individual little section. It sort of is, but it's actually still part of a whole. All right. Let's see what happens. I'm gonna go back to this orange right here. We lost sight of the bottom of that gemstone right there. Same thing on this piece. Yeah, let's lighten that up too. That's a little bit too much of our extreme bright light. Won't put any more on the face, but I might just try and get a little bit, almost like some reflected light there. We'll take this. We'll just use this as our blending brush. Yeah, I was all just going straight down into some dark there. Didn't need it to be quite that dark in the shadow. And on the side of the hand here, we've got the bracelet there too. And on this side, all right. I will see if I can maybe add a little bit more of this lightest highlight to this right here. See if this is going to work. Now I'm going to go the opposite way with maybe some of our Egyptian violet here. Hey, Paint Miniatures, how you doing? Thank you so much. This is actually, it's part of a larger little vignette here. So the figure and the throne are from Clay Cyanide Miniatures. This torch right here / brazier, that is from Alute Studios. So yeah, this is the, there we got it right about at the level she's supposed to be. So yeah, and we're also trying to do a little bit of a cast shadow there onto the wall. Paint Manager just did a figure with wings. Here's hoping that maybe it was a 3D printed miniature for you, and that maybe made things a little easier, because when you've got wings on a miniature that's cast, well, tends to be some crazy mold lines and weird places on the feathers. So hopefully you did not have to deal with too much of that. And glad that you're doing well. Hopefully you had some fun over Halloween. Or at least just had a chance to kind of chill out a little bit. Reinforce some darks on that. And up here too. Bam, like so. And right along top edge of those feathers again, so it's almost like it's lit from underneath. Well, I'm awful glad that it was. As soon as you started saying there was wings on, oh, that's the 10-0. No wonder. I was thinking, boy, am I beating up on my 18-0? No, that was the 10-0. That makes a whole lot of sense now. Yeah, that's more like it. Here, let's straighten this out a little bit more. There we go. Maybe a little more dark underneath the lip there. Yeah. That's, and of course, yeah, you don't, I'm guessing that you don't have the magic instant nap time device that just launches a NyQuil grenade and has an area effect, so what, there's 3 of them? Yeah, you would need the NyQuil grenade. The NyQuil spray is not going to be terribly effective because that's, you know, that has a very low area of effect and you have to get really close. It's a very close range weapon. So you need the NyQuil mortar. I think that's going to be much more effective for you. I mean, you do have to kind of lock in the target, but once you've got that target locked in, you just basically pre-sight everything in the house. You have it all pre-targeted, so when they get to a certain room or a certain door or something like that, you know exactly what the launch angle needs to be. Throwing a little bit more of my light color out here. Yeah, at first I was just thinking, okay, the spray is good enough, and then I realized, no, if you have multiple kids, you know, one of them sees the spray coming, you only get one of the kids, you need to get the other 2, and you probably need to get them all at the same time. I'm going to go back in with some of the Egyptian violet here. And of course, you know, depending on how long of a respite you need, you know, however, what long your painting project is, you've got kind of the extra strength stuff that'll keep them down for even longer. Say, oh man, I've got several hours on this miniature I'm gonna have to put in, so gonna have to throw out the extra heavy this time. That's gold paint water. Now this I was thinking of throwing some of the red on there, but I don't know, I'm gonna go with something a little different in here. I know we did that on the other side of the figure here. Back to it again. Actually, we have paint miniatures in the chat, paint water. So yeah, we've got we have paint miniatures and paint water, both in the chat. I'm going to use, I'll go with the S Fultimer. We're going to try and divide this shape here a little bit. And this one, same way. And maybe divide up the fingers here. Like that. And then I think I need to get a little bit more of my skin tone onto the hand, as it's got a little bit dark. Yeah, it's more of a mid-tone right there for the skin. Not going to lighten up the skin too much back here, I don't think, Because again, it is up against it, well, the wall, essentially. Oh yeah, paint water, I looked up and I kind of did the double take as well. All right, what's going on with this thing here? Is that, I'm gonna see if I can't get a little bit lighter with my skin tone as well. Here, let's take the, some of the Terra Rosa here, some of the white together. Yeah, oh good, you can't see that. I'm unsure if you could. Slightly lighter, but also just trying to kind of unify some of the color. It's like a little bit complex there. Trying to simplify things. Hey, Urkdet, how you doing? And nice to have you in the chat. Lighten up that chin a little bit too. So yeah, the figure here and the throat, that is from Clay Cyanide. That brazier / torch, that would be from Loot Studios. Probably shrank it maybe by half. I think somewhere in that neighborhood. It's been probably at least a week plus since I actually made that build plate, so I don't really remember exactly. Do a little bit more with my white here in just a couple of areas. Yeah, not too much. Won't line up the skin anymore there. I might throw a little more light here on the outfit. Here's my blending brush. Always have that at the ready because we're just going to take this again and just fade some of those edges. Make sure there's no weird paint sitting on that brush there. Use a little bit of a stippling effect. I mean, we could put cloth texture on there if we wanted to. I had thought about doing the see-through cloth texture, and then I realized, well, no, we have plenty of stuff going on with the object source lighting. All right, well, Thousand Young, thank you so much for stopping by, and boom, we're always keeping an eye on you. If you want to toss the link to your sculpts into the chat before you head out, feel free to do that. I want to get a little bit more. Yeah, let's lighten up right around the eyes there a little more. More of our light there. Not too much on this side of it, though. Yeah, we don't have any other secondary lights adding to this, so like if I had some kind of off-camera light source coming from, well, I guess that would be the right-hand side of the sculpt. Maybe that's something we could throw on like over here, but didn't want to do that. Wanted to keep it relatively simple. I mean, multi-light source things are very fun, but I thought this just having that nice little potential cast shadow from the torch. We don't really get a chance to do that very often, if ever. And this all just happened to barely fit on a 60mm base. That was fortunate. Just one of those plain round bases that I gotten off of eBay. Here, let's get a little bit more of our light. Oh, and then of course texture roller down here, right, from Green Stuff World to do this part of it. So we've combined a few elements here together. And what was that? Oh yeah, I was showing earlier some of the other Loot Studio stuff that I've printed up. There's going to be a lot of Egyptian-themed stuff this month, to say the least. And that's all with the Soraya. So look at how dark this thing is, because that's solid. I thought I had the hollowed file. I had the solid one instead. And then, because you can see the difference here. This one is hollowed, and it's a whole lot lighter. But lots of 75mm Loot Studio Egyptian stuff. We'll be trying all different kinds of fun things this month. Oh, here, let's not have that piece of fuzz on the end of that. And I'm going to try and get the light to come from the side, again, from the sconce down over to here. And I think we need to add just a little bit more of our light further up the chain here on the torch light. So here's our fluorescent yellow again. Add that to the orange, like so. So I think it was last month. Yeah, it was last month. I think it's the October release for Loot Studios, all the Egyptian stuff. Because I think November, it's kind of like a foresty type thing with like an owl bear priest or something like that, or whatever. So yeah, not this month's bundle, but last month. So the October bundle. And apparently I've already, the files have already shown up for this month, so I have to be downloading those later tonight here. Lots of stuff to do yet. Again, trying to find a few flashes here of reflections on the metal. So there's, you have like this sort of like a bear sort of mage type of deal. That's one of the busts as well. Then you've got like an ice golem, I think. You have an ice golem, some of the terrain bits. Very, like one of them's an igloo. Well, at least it says igloo. I don't know how much of an igloo it actually is, but it says igloo. Not sure how many things we'll be able to print up for it. Who knows, maybe the ice golem would be fun. We could certainly make use of a lot of our radiance for that. Oh yeah, that's, here, let's maybe lighten this up just a smidge here too. A little bit like that. I don't know. I just kind of like the idea of the light hitting it there. So let's do that. Sarge, I'm also trying to make, well, I've got some of the Monster Mini Mayhem. This from last month, right? I think it was the last month where they had all the, like the Iron Stallions and the basically creatures that were all metal. I got some of those printed up now. I thought those would be really fantastic for some TMM/NMM tutorial vids and maybe some sessions here on Twitch. That's the other thing I needed here is that vertical line. Maybe I'll do a little touch of that on here too. But all the while, gotta be aware that she's gonna be blocking some of that light. That's why we have that big old space right there. And in fact, I'm kind of tempted to take, I think this brush has some of my darker color in it there. Some of the indigo, some of the black. We might just hit that and make that a little bit darker. At least up here. And maybe even darken this down a little bit. See how little paint there is on that brush. There is very, very little paint there. That is just so key to the oil paint. Yeah. And all that, oh, by the way, sorry, all that stuff was done with the Soraya Simple Smoky Black. I'm gonna, now that well, I've transferred the Patreon funds, as soon as I know they're in the bank, I am getting at least 2 containers of that stuff. Then if I don't know, maybe sell some figs on eBay or something like that, I'm going to try and get me some of the clear. But I may have to try the water washable, depending on when that the smoky black is going to get here. So who knows, Sarge, I might be asking you some questions about the water washable. I'm pretty sure it's the Elegoo stuff. Alright, here we need to do some more shadow down here because there's, again, a figure in the way. So we have to remember that's going to be there. So we are going to darken that up, give it a little bit of a shadow here. I know it kind of looks weird, but just again, think of that's where the miniature's going to go. There's the body, right, and the wings coming out this way. Like so. Let's get that figure over here, put her right about the level she's going to be, right there. So I might add just some of my light over here. Let's see, do we have the... this is what I'm looking for. And again, just a little bit of dry brush there. Because think of that like, see that? See, it's starting to look kind of like a shadow there. Here's my darker color again, not too far down. I went a little bit farther down than I wanted to. I'm going to raise the shadow up then, if that's the case. And thank you so much, Armored Wolf, for posting a link to the Patreon page. And I think, for our chapter studies, we will be doing a Black Templar this month. So last month we did the Dark Angel. The month before that was Blood Angel, and the month before that was Imperial Fists. Oh, and Sarge, here's the, this is one of those 3D printed Warg Marauders from Diwali there. Really, really, really love that. Instead of fail cast, yeah. That all printed out very nicely, no pieces to worry about. A smidge darker there. So look at that, you can kind of see now the shadow sort of taking shape there on the far side of that. So Sarge, I don't know if your work schedule has been as cumbersome, because it's been somewhat cumbersome the last year or so. Oh, I know, White Scar. Thanks, Armored. Well, I knew there was another one. It's like, wait a minute, what's what's around the Black Templar? Yes, the White Scars. Because the last time I painted one of those was a long time ago, and it'll be a whole lot easier doing that with the oils, no doubt. Just like, well, the Black Templar will be. The Dark Angel certainly was. The Imperial Fist most definitely was easier. You know what, I'm gonna try and just try to drive a little bit of our light here too. Not too much, but some. And we've got Series 29 underway right now too. So you're gonna be working Saturday, okay. Yeah, Armored Wolf, won't it be, it'll be kind of wild, right, to see, I mean, it's kind of natural to do those kind of like one right next to the other. It was sort of neat to see the Dark Angel and Blood Angel, especially given the fact that the Perline Black, that dark green, was used as the initial pre-glaze on the Blood Angel, of course. That was kind of cool. So I'm going to hold her there so you can really start to see that shadow taking place on the wall. So again, that is from Loot Studios, probably reduced somewhere around 50% in size. Maybe not quite that much, but close enough. And oh, what was it? Oh, actually, this weekend talked to somebody. He also has a Saturn, and he said that I guess there's 3 different versions of the Saturn, and there's just tiny micro differences between them, but you need to know which Saturn you've got. And he also talked about the Wham Bam, which I believe was also talked about in the chat the last time we were kind of talking about the Saturn. Sharpening up some of these edges here. Sharpen up that one a bit too. Now I think now it's 11:14 and we still have a video to film. I think we might be heading over to Teal Skyer in just a bit here. I'm going to check and make sure that he is doing some painting, as always. Well, right now, it looks like he's doing some kind of a showcase thing. So yeah, I don't know what the difference is, the 3 types of Saturns, and like I said, it's just he said it was a very incremental difference, but it's enough of a difference to cause a whole lot of failures if you are not aware of that. It just, wherever the plate's going to reach, I guess. Alrighty, I'm going to try to take some of my Fanchon Red here. No, that's too much. I'm going to go back to my fluorescent red here. Yeah, it looked like I forgot that he does. I wanted to make sure he also wasn't in the middle of one of the stream battles, right? Because I think he still does that. And I'm fairly certain the last time I raided him, he was just about to start a stream battle. He was trying to do his hellos and everything, and the alerts going off for the stream battle. Never could figure out what the heck those are. Some of the electronics and the build plates are different sizes. Man, that's well, now on the plus side, we might actually have somebody who could actually come here and literally put the Ender 3 together, because then we would have that as an option for printing stuff. I mean, it would be nice. I wouldn't really have to worry about, anything happening to it, because it's not like it's something that I'm super reliant on. It would be nice to have it going, but all right, yeah, the rim of this, there's a little too much of just the yellow on there. I'm trying to get a little bit of the red on that too. So yeah, I don't remember which one of the 3 he said that he had. As we go back to some of the, here, that's some of our fluorescent yellow. Into the flame, into the fire here. And we were talking about all the different large format ones, you know, your anycubic ones. What is that? The Mono 10 or Mono X or whatever. That's the large format one. Yeah, I'm gonna try and lighten up the interior of this flame right over here. And I might do that with more of a pinline wash too. Bam, see that? See how that just covered, no problem, even though that is mostly thinner right there. You cannot dilute the oils. You can thin them for sure. You got the latest version, and it doesn't need the adapter for the Z-stop. Yeah, that's boy, Sarge, I think you heard the story of how that was just a half-second away from doing that to the Sonic Mini 4K. We need to do another one right over here, because I didn't realize that there had been a failure, like a colossal failure on the print. I thought it had actually been a good print. And then I looked at it and went, that is not good. There's a big blob of something sitting there on that in the vat. So I ran over to it and stopped it just in the nick of time. All right, now I'm going to stem that up with some of just the orange here. Yeah, that gives need a little bit more of the heat rising up here too. So the Saturn V2 and the Sonic Mighty can use the same files. Well, that's interesting. Now I know that I think the Anycubic or whatever, as far as the large format printers go, I could swear that when we were looking at it, this was months ago, the Anycubic was a bit taller as far as the height of things that you could print than either the, especially the Mighty. I think it was taller than that. Don't know what the width of the build plate was, whatever, but I think it was slightly taller. All right, we're going back to some of our orange here. See, a co-worker is selling a Mono 10 for half the price. Oh, wow. Well, that's backup, Sarge. That's insurance. You can't go wrong with that. Because you never know, right? You never know what's going to happen sometimes with that printer. And, well, you certainly don't want to be left without the ability to print. So again, taking some of the orange here, working with that. Back in this area, remember we were able to sort of smooth some of this out. Now I'm going to try and put a little bit of stone texture in there. I think we probably need to hit that edge too with some of our light. We also don't need that there. But I think we need some light down over here on this corner. And a smidge more over there. Let's also have the like catching the edge of the crack that we just added there. That's not really there. We just thought, be nice to draw that in. Now, where's my brush here to blend in some of this stuff? We got a lot of brush strokes there. Now that it's been there a while, as you can see, just doing a little tap tap like so. Helps to unify those brush strokes together. So the Mono 10, yeah, everybody always talks about the Mono 10 as being, well, reliable for sure, I think. Reliable is always good. Yeah, there we go. So I think we've, reclaimed all of the light that we need here.